Gracia Burnham, and this is my story. My husband Martin and I lived in the Philippines. We were missionaries there. Martin was a jungle pilot. We worked with New Tribes Mission. They work with tribal people, or people who live tucked away up in the mountains where civilization has never gone. And the way that a missionary can live with these primitive people is they'll build a small airstrip, and an airplane will bring in all their supplies, their food, their medicine, building supplies, everything they need to live out in the jungle. Well, that was Martin's job, and he loved it. He was an excellent pilot. We had lived in the Philippines for 17 years when we were called to go to another island to do some flying for another set of missionaries. And while we were there, we were at a resort celebrating our anniversary. We went to bed that first night, and in the morning, before dawn, there was a banging on the door. These three guys with M16s burst into the room and took Martin out. One of them came over to the bed and he lowered his weapon at me and he yelled, "Go, go, go." And I said, no, I don't have clothes on. So I grabbed the closest thing to me, and they took me out too. And they were taking us to a waiting speedboat. And as we pulled away from the dock that morning, these guys raised their weapons in the air and yelled, "Allah Akbar, Allah Akbar." And that's when we knew who had us. They're called the Abu Sayyaf. They're militant Muslims who have declared jihad, holy war, in that area of the world. And we knew we were in big trouble. And for the next year, we lived in the jungle with the Abu Sayyaf, and we ran from the Philippine military who came in and were trying to rescue us. We slept on the ground. We ate whatever we could find in the jungle to eat. We witnessed atrocities. These were not nice men. And we spent a year just waiting to be rescued. We faced many days of discouragement. It would go on and on and on. Often the Abu Sayyaf would say to us, "This Friday, you'll go home." And then we would be all excited about Friday, and then Friday would come and nothing. Martin died in our 17th gun battle. In those gun battles, we would have dead, we would have wounded, and we knew that someday, if we didn't get out of there, it was going to be us that got killed. And in our 17th gun battle, Martin was killed. But that was the gun battle that rescued me, and I got to come home to the United States and take care of my children. When we were first taken hostage, they had evacuated our children from the Philippines to Kansas.
Gracia was rescued and returned home amidst a national spotlight.
Was there no way Gracia and Martin could escape?
Sean Hannity, welcome to the show. Good to have you. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you.
Well, it started as a romantic getaway for Martin and Gracia Burnham, American missionaries working in the Philippines.
This is for her first daytime interview, and I want to thank her for having the courage to be here today.
Gracia, good to have you with us.
Thank you.
The outpouring of support was beyond anything Gracia could have imagined, especially at Martin's funeral.
I still didn't realize how many people were involved and praying and would want to go to Martin's funeral. And I looked around in the crowd and I saw some of my friends from college there, saw some of our coworkers there. I thought, all my friends are here. It was a good day. Martin would have been proud of his funeral.
Gracia wanted to honor Martin's memory and have the opportunity to say thank you to the hundreds of thousands of people who prayed for their protection and safe return. During her time of recovery, Gracia wrote, "In the presence of my enemies," a riveting personal account of her and Martin's ordeal with the terrorists. This emotionally moving, powerfully inspirational account of faith through adversity landed on the New York Times bestseller list, and millions of people came to know Gracia in a more personal way.
The best pilot that I've ever seen.
Martin often flew Dr. Alan Melicor to remote villages.
To me, Martin and Gracia reflect the persona of Christ. And so when they were adopted, I said, Lord, why them? Why Martin and Gracia? And then say, oh, why not them? Because I think the people that adopted them had really seen what Christians ought to be.
Gracia, the Abu Sayyaf took so much from you, your husband, a year of your life. How do you find forgiveness?
I think God came and did something in my heart, and I asked him, would you build forgiveness in my life? Would you help me start to love these guys? And he did it.
Today, several Abu Sayyaf members have come to know the Lord because Gracia chose to forgive and began the Martin and Gracia Burnham Foundation to help reach Muslims in the Philippines.
Some of the very guys that held us hostage got a hold of some of those things we had printed, and it impacted their lives. And God somehow used it, and so far, four of them have come to know the Lord.
She's also a much sought-after speaker whose story of God's grace under trial resonates with everyone.
And they just want to hug me and say, we prayed for you. And I never get tired of hearing that.
Today, Gracia's youngest son, Zach, studies music at Calvary Bible School in Kansas City, the same school where his parents met and married. Oldest son, Jeff, is a missionary pilot just like his dad, serving in Africa. And daughter, Mindy, married a New Tribes missionary just like Gracia.
I'm a grandma twice, yay. And the children are grown and they're fine and they love the Lord. So the rest of what happens to me is just icing on the cake.
It's one of the greatest privileges of my life was covering that story and meeting Gracia and her family. And if you haven't read her book yet, In the Presence of My Enemies, I couldn't put it down. I highly recommend it.